time for 20.
Sing along if you know it. New developments in the scandals roiling Democrats in Virginia. Embattled Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax facing calls to resign over 2 sexual assault allegations against him. And now raising eyebrows in an impromptu Senate floor speech, comparing himself to lynching victims. Watch.
And I've heard much about anti-lynching on the floor of this very Senate, where people were not given any due process whatsoever. And we rue that. We talk about hundreds, at least 100 terror lynchings that have happened in the Commonwealth of Virginia under those very same auspices. And yet we stand here in a rush to judgment with nothing but accusations and no facts. And we decide that we are willing to do the same thing.
The Republican majority leader in the Virginia House of Delegates blasting Fairfax's remarks, saying they are, quote, the most disgusting type of rhetoric he could have invoked. But the Democrat chair of Virginia's Black Caucus says he's heard similar language from his constituents. Fairfax's remarks come as Virginia Republicans vow to hold hearings. One of his accusers, Meredith Watson, issued a statement through her lawyer saying she would publicly testify against Fairfax. So this is certainly getting messier, but I understand where Justin Fairfax is coming from, and that the 2 men who are on either side of him in terms of ascendancy to the governorship are both embattled in claims of racism. Right. Yet here Justin Fairfax is being singled out for claims of sexual assault. So what is the appropriate venue? Should there be public hearings in the House of Delegates, like some Republicans who control that chamber, like they want? Or is this a law enforcement issue, as Lieutenant Government is claiming?
I feel like that's a little bit above my pay grade, but I do think that his accuser,
what's the best
Dr.
way
Tyson,
to get to the truth here?
Does deserve a public airing of these. In the Brett Kavanaugh hearings, we heard from Dr. Ford in a very public hearing, and I think that helped all of us to better understand the issue, and we came down on different sides of it in many cases, but that was the way forward. I think there is an issue, though, even if your constituents have said something with public leadership, using that kind of terms or speaking in that way. Yeah. You know, last night at the Oscars, listening to Spike Lee after he won for Black Klansman, which deals with real lynchings and what the history in this country, I think we all need to take a step back from using the language of the KKK. You know, there's no grand wizard at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. There, you know, public lynchings with the Jussie Smollett thing, we heard that as well coming out from public figures. I think we need to cool it on that type of language.
And the chief of police in Chicago, Eddie Johnson.
Just to further the image of what you're talking about, I don't usually stay up the entire time for the Oscars, but without a host, I was really curious about it and ended up watching the whole thing. And when Congressman Elijah Cummings talked about the physical scars. John Lewis, excuse me. John Lewis, thank you. Talked about the physical scars of going through an era when racism and bigotry led to violence. I mean, it was really moving. Yeah. Like that, and it meant something. So when you toss those words around now, as you say, for color, if no, you know, to just simply add hyperbole to a situation, it can be very harmful, and it gets us far afield from what's really important. What you pointed out is you've got a hashtag Me Too thing going on with accusations now of multiple women, and you have racism with the governor and the AG. Those live in different lanes. We should be able to adjudicate all of it if that's what's necessary, or at least hear it all, without drawing lines in the country that make it look like some hate others over this. Let's just get to the truth.
And let's not lose sight of history. And I think that is one of the casualties in all of this is, you know, we throw these words around and they cannot lose their meaning. That is incredibly critical, and we cannot lose sight of our very recent past.
Yeah. You know, it's to most of us, this kind of seems insane to hear this sort of comments from Fairfax. But, you know, in a leftist culture where Jussie Smollett thinks faking a racist, homophobic attack on himself is going to enhance his career, it's kind of par for the course. And I just feel like this is a continuation of that sort of pattern.
No, I mean, I don't have any more to add on it. Yeah.
Thank you. And Congressman John Lewis, with all respect.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Comedian Bill Maher used to be funny, catching some heat after bashing Americans in red states, belittling them and calling them less affluent and less educated than people in blue states. Whether these comments show why Democrats could have trouble with voters in middle America. It's all coming up next.